Hello my friends, today we'll take a look at AK QuickGen paints with this inspirational box artwork, and inside we have QuickGen paint 72 different colors, 2 brushes included within this kit. On the back side of the box we have all 72 colors proudly displayed, showing the base color, the highlight color, and the shadow color. We'll touch more on that in a little while. Also included are 2 bottles of the low viscosity gel. This QuickGen medium enhances paint flow by improving surface tension, preventing rings and stains, and ensuring a smooth, even finish. These paints embody the concept of quick contrast painting, flowing naturally across the surface, accumulating in details, and creating a sense of depth in a single layer. The labels indicate the level of coverage, low, medium, or high, to better guide the choice of shade. The level of coverage depends on the pigment or concentration used within its formulation. And now for the medium, and why do we use it? When we add water or even another medium to the formula, it can alter the composition, causing the paint to behave unexpectedly. This medium is simply the type of resin used in the formula, ensuring that the paint retains its properties and works without issues. And with the medium, even a high coverage paint can be thinned to a glaze-like consistency without any loss of the properties of the paint itself. These paints are translucent in nature, meaning that the base colors or the primer colors will show through, so we must consider what type of effects we want to achieve. The fastest and most effective way to use this type of paint is over a white background. This background can be applied either from a can or from the airbrush. If we wish to exaggerate our highlights and our shadows, well then our primers can be applied in a zenithal light manner. That is, lights from above, in this case white, and darks or blacks shot from underneath. In actuality, these paints can be applied with any type of primer, any color primer, or any type of application. They can also be used with a black background, but the colors will be very muted. But here I'm going to go ahead and use a dry brush to bring out the highlights using white paint, and as you can see, we don't even need a can or an airbrush to make a dynamic starting point. On this first example, I'm going to be using a base that has been primed in white and white only. On this first example, I'm applying the paint directly from the bottle. I have not added any of the gel to the mixture. At this point, probably the most difficult part is just choosing a color, as this is the most complete range on the market, with all the necessary colors for modelers and gamers. Each color palette includes several specific color options, avoiding redundant tones. And no, they haven't forgotten about the historical war game enthusiasts, and tones for World War II and Napoleonic uniforms have been included. It should also be noted that these paints are compatible with other acrylics and enamel washes and filters. Moving on to our next example, this Space Marine has been painted first in a black acrylic paint. Now there's no need for a fancy airbrush or even a can of paint, because we can go ahead and use dry brush method just to bring out the highlights using white acrylic paint. As I mentioned before, the offerings of colors are very extensive within this paint range, and so finding the perfect color for your Space Marine is really no trouble at all. And on this example, I'll add some medium with my paints just to aid in the paint flow over the model. In addition to all the color choices within this range, did I forget to mention, we also have 6 metallic colors. We have golds, we have coppers, we have cold steels, and dark steels. All of these metallics can be applied in the exact same manner as the paints. One property of this type of paint is their transparency, and so if you should happen to paint over the lines, it's an easy fix. Just take some of your white color, your white primer, and just touch up that area, and you're good to go, ready to continue with your work. Are you looking to add a little intensity to your colors, or perhaps unify some of the effects? Well, just simply add a second layer over the top of the first once that first layer has dried. And on our final example, we have our figure that has been primed with the zenithal light method, that is, lights from above and our darks from below. This should produce a model that has the greatest amount of contrast from the highlights through the shadows. The transparent nature of these paints, well, it can allow for some very creative painting ideas. On this hat, for instance, I'll dry brush some white color nice and soft onto the highlight areas of this hat. This will basically reset the surface back to the primer stage, the white colors. Now I can come back in with a lighter shade of green, go back over the top of the entire hat, but the lighter color underneath will show through and produce some very nice highlights and visual interest. And of course, at any time throughout the process, traditional acrylic colors can be used in conjunction with or supplement the QuickGen paints. And while all these examples shown here in this video have been done using a paintbrush, the QuickGen paints are designed to be applied with the airbrush as well. In either case, whether it's a brush or an airbrush, you can easily clean your tools with water. So as we come to the conclusion of this introductory video, let's talk about and recap some of the highlights. This is a new formula of paint. It glides smoothly over the surface and ensures a uniform finish and smooth transitions. There is greater contrast due to the pigments and more color saturation as well. To get started, a white primed figure is probably the easiest and best to use, but we can also do zenithal light, or as we've seen, a black base, or any number of colors of primed bases will work as well, just with different results. And as for the paints themselves, we have 72 wonderful colors to play with different intensities from low, medium, and high. And let's not forget our 6 metallic colors as well. These are ideal paints for wargamers who demand a high quality finish but like to get their armies onto the table as quickly as possible. I hope you've enjoyed this introduction to the QuickGen paints. We'll see you, brushes in hand, at the tables very soon.